The Miami Orange Bowl was an outdoor athletic stadium in Miami, Florida, from 1937 until 2008. The stadium was located in the Little Havana neighborhood west of downtown Miami. The Miami Orange Bowl was considered a landmark and served as the home stadium for the Miami Hurricanes college football team from 1937 through 2007 and for the Miami Dolphins for the Dolphins' first 21 seasons until Joe Robbie Stadium, now Hard Rock Stadium, opened in nearby Miami Gardens in 1987. The stadium also was the temporary home for the FIU Golden Panthers for 1 year, in 2007, while its on-campus venue, now known as Ricardo Silva Stadium, underwent expansion. Originally known as Burdeen Stadium when opened in 1937, the stadium was renamed in 1949 for the Orange Bowl College Football Bowl game, which was played at the venue following every season from 1938 to 1996. The event was moved to Pro Player Stadium, now Hard Rock Stadium, beginning on December 31, 1996. In January 1999, it returned to the Orange Bowl a final time due to a scheduling conflict. The minor league baseball Miami Marlins team occasionally played games in the Orange Bowl from 1956 to 1960. The stadium was located on a large city block bound by Northwest 3rd Street to its south, Northwest 16th Avenue to its west, Northwest 6th Street to its north, and Northwest 14th Avenue to its east, which was an open end of the stadium. The Orange Bowl was demolished in 2008. Lone Depot Park, the home ballpark of the Miami Marlins of Major League Baseball, was subsequently constructed on the grounds of the Miami Orange Bowl. Lone Depot Park's construction began in July 2009, and the new stadium opened March 5, 2012. History. Early 20th century. An aerial view of the stadium, then called Burdeen Stadium, in 1940. U.S. President John F. Kennedy and Mrs. Kennedy greet surviving members of Brigade 2506 at the Orange Bowl following the failed Bay of Pigs invasion of Cuba on December 29, 1962. Miami Orange Bowl hosting Super Bowl V on January 17, 1971 between the Baltimore Colts and the Dallas Cowboys. The Colts won 16-13. The Miami Orange Bowl hosted 5 Super Bowls between 1968 and 1979, including the first Super Bowl played on artificial turf in 1968. Miami Orange Bowl outside the stadium's West End zone in February 2006. Miami Orange Bowl's North Gate in January 2008. Walkway of the Orange Bowl in February 2008. A Farewell to the Orange Bowl event held at the stadium on January 26, 2008. The Miami Orange Bowl, initially called Burdeen Stadium after Roddy Burdeen, one of Miami's pioneers and the owner of the Burdeen's department store chain, was built by the City of Miami Public Works Department. Construction began in 1936 and was completed in December 1937 and featured stadium lights. Prior to completion, the first game was a high school game on September 24, 1936, in which Miami Edison Senior High School shut out of Ponce de Leon, 36-0. During this opening game, the stadium's new lighting system went partially out, leaving the midfield dark with 5 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. 6. The stadium opened for Miami Hurricanes football on December 10, 1937. From 1926 to 1937, the University of Miami played in a stadium near Tamiami Park and also at Moore Park until the Orange Bowl was built. The stadium originally seated 23,739 people along the sidelines, roughly corresponding to the lower level of the sideline seats in the stadium's final configuration. Attendance for its first Orange Bowl in January 1938 was under 19,000,7,8, but the following year saw over 32,000 in attendance. 9, 10, 11, seating was added in the end zones in the 1940s, and by the end of the 1950s the stadium was double-decked on the sidelines. In 1966, the AFL expansion Miami Dolphins played their first-ever regular season game in the stadium on September 2. The West End Zone upper deck section was then added in the 1960s, bringing the stadium to its peak capacity of 80,010. On January 1, 1965, the Orange Bowl was the first college bowl game to be televised in prime time. 12. Late 20th century. From 1966 to 1968, and again in the 1970s, a live dolphin was situated in a water tank in the open, east, end of the Orange Bowl. He would jump in the tank to celebrate touchdowns and field goals. The tank that was set up in the 1970s was manufactured by Evan Bush and maintained during the games by Evan Bush and Dean Whitaker. Flipper was removed from the Orange Bowl after 1968 to save costs and the 1970s due to stress. In the film Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, Snowflake, a live dolphin who does special behaviors after the Dolphins score a touchdown, was the basis of the film after he is kidnapped as part of a revenge plot against Dan Marino. In 1977, the permanent seats in the East End zone were removed, and further upgrades brought the stadium to its final capacity and design. The city skyline was visible to the east through the open end, over the modern scoreboard and palm trees. The surface was natural grass, except for 6 seasons in the 1970s. Polyturf, an artificial turf similar to AstroTurf, was installed for the 1970 football season. It was removed and replaced with a type of natural grass known as prescription athletic turf, after Super Bowl X in January 1976. In 1980, the stadium was used as a holding facility for Cuban refugees, who arrived in South Florida during the Mariel Boatlift. 13. Under the leadership of Hall of Fame head coach Don Shula, the Miami Dolphins enjoyed a winning record in the Orange Bowl against rival teams in the AFC Eastern Division. Under Shula, the Dolphins were an impressive 57-9-1, 60-10-1 including playoff contests, against the Baltimore/Indianapolis Colts, 15-3, the Boston/New England Patriots, 15-1, the Buffalo Bills, 16-1, and the New York Jets, 13-1. They have also beaten every visiting franchise at least once, enjoying perfect records against 11 of them. 14. The playoff results against AFC East opponents are, AFC Championship games, 1971, Miami 21, Baltimore 0, 1982, Miami 14, New York Jets 0, and, 1985, New England 31, Miami 14, an AFC first-round game, 1982 strike-shortened season, Miami 28, New England 13. Notable winning streaks during the Shula era in the Orange Bowl include a 13-0 streak against the Buffalo Bills and a 15-0 streak against the New England Patriots. Also of note, the Miami Dolphins enjoyed a record 31-game home winning streak from 1971 to 75, which includes 4 playoff wins and the perfect season of 1972. The Dolphins have not enjoyed the same level of success at Hard Rock Stadium. While much of this lack of success at Hard Rock Stadium is obviously attributable to a diminished level of talent and organizational stability, it is also widely recognized that the home field advantage that the Dolphins enjoyed in the Orange Bowl was exponentially greater than in their newer home. This was in great part due to the atmosphere of the Orange Bowl. The closeness of the seats to the field, along with the closed West End zone, metal bleachers, and steel structure, and of course the team's success and its status as Miami's only professional sports team for so many years, made the bowl one of the loudest and most electric stadiums in the NFL. Visiting team quarterbacks often complained to referees or were forced to call timeout as their teammates could not hear them barking out the signals due to the unbearable noise, especially when the Dolphins were making a goal line stand in the closed West End zone. While Hard Rock Stadium is much newer and cleaner and is considered one of the top facilities in the NFL, with top-notch amenities, the seats are set further back from the field than comparable seats at the Orange Bowl. As a result, even at its loudest, Hard Rock Stadium is nowhere near as loud as the Orange Bowl. The Orange Bowl was also the site of the NCAA's longest college football home field winning streak. Between 1985 and 1994, the Miami Hurricanes won 58 straight home games at the Bowl, until ended by the Washington Huskies. The stadium's home field advantage used to include a steel structure that fans would set to rumbling by stomping their feet. Concrete reinforcement had silenced the rumble in the stadium's later years. There was still the advantage of the West End zone, which had a relatively narrow radius that amplified fan noise. The West End zone was a factor in the wide right curse, in which the Florida State Seminoles lost a series of close games due to missed field goals. This section was so raucous that some football announcers often confused it with the student section. In addition to football, the stadium also hosted concerts and other public events. The stadium had a regular capacity of 74,476 orange seats, and could seat up to 82,000 for concerts and other events where additional seating